Good morning, and thank you for joining. Just to set some expectations for this session, what we're going to be showcasing here are some partner solutions built using the Lync platform. So this session is going to be very demo heavy, and we have 4 partners here who have done some pretty great innovation in the area of workflow and collaboration. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. We have Joe Skirman from Avanade here to show us a demo.
Great. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. And nice to meet everybody at the early morning session, so hopefully this will start you off right for the day. I'm going to show you some pretty exciting, cool stuff. Joe Skirman here from Avanade. I've been working with the Lync product since it was LCS 2003. In fact, I brought my event shirt for our first LCS event for my presentation right after this. But we're doing some really exciting things around Lync. And what we're building are what we call UC experiences. So looking at the individual and understanding their daily lives and the businesses that they work in, and understand how to basically enable communications into that line of business workflow. And so what we've developed are a series of assets through what we call the Avanade CEBP framework. For those of you not familiar with CEBP, it's Communications-Enabled Business Processes. We call it Lync Business Solutions. So what I'm going to show here is one of our applications that we're demoing this week here at Lync Conference, but also next week at HIMSS, which is the International Healthcare event. And so I'm going to show 2 different experiences for a patient that may be walking into a clinic or clinic to medical center remote diagnostics. And we've been working with the Lync team, the Connect team, as well as Health Vault team to make sure that we enable a great experience for the end user, whether they're at a clinic interfacing with a specific device, or whether they're at home and just need some basic information from a physician, similar to the demo that was provided by Microsoft throughout the week this week. So what I'll start with here is actually what we call our pod, or our AHCC pod. I think it's up on the screen. Yep. So AHCC is the name of the product that I'm showing you here. It's really a solution versus a product. We develop it as what we call a solution accelerator. So the features that you see here are demonstratable. Basically, we can enable this for any organization and brand it and integrate with their medical devices, their EMR systems, their PHR systems for specific patient integration. So here we've developed this solution. The solution's called AHCC, Avanade Health Collaborative Care, like I just mentioned. In this experience, the patient is actually going to a clinic for a scheduled appointment. Now, what we've done here is actually use the Lync SDK. So in order to basically build our own Lync client and enable this capability through a normal workflow, you may not see the Lync logo, but all the modalities are there. So we've rebuilt the client specifically for this type of patient interaction. And the patient in this situation is actually going into the clinic for their scheduled appointment. This could be a minute clinic, it could be at a Walgreens, a nearby store. Really, it doesn't matter. So here I am. I'm going to be playing the role of Maria Gomez, born in 1943. Look a little different. But basically, I'm going to start a session here, and then I'm going to switch over to my Surface Pro there, which is enabled for a physician application, which we've also developed using the Lync SDK. And that application will be remotely controlling the communications to the patient in front of this kiosk. Before I begin, though, I'd like to ask for someone to step up, maybe to be a volunteer patient for me. So I can be over there and someone can be over here. Scott, you want to do it? All right, great. Scott from Avanade. All right, so Scott, if you wouldn't mind, and whatever you see here is going to show up on the screen there. You're going to play Maria. So Maria's coming to the kiosk here, and she can see up top here her patient information that's coming from the EMR system. And we can work with really any EMR, even the most difficult one that's been labeled Fort Knox for the past 10 years. There's a diagnostics tab here that shows the devices that we've enabled for this pod. And so with each medical center or clinic, we're enabling different types of devices that they interact with. In this case, I've got a Connect device up top, a blood pressure monitor on the right side, and we'll be using those for the demo today. So Maria, if you wouldn't mind, just go ahead and join your weekly appointment. Great. So what I'm going to do is switch over to, I'm going to be switching back and forth to my physician application here. And this is a Lync SDK-based client that we've developed for physicians to really get them to start using Windows Surface Pro devices and understanding gestures and really building Lync-based communication workflow into their normal line of business workflow for what they do every day, walking the halls, meeting with patients in rooms, et cetera. On the left side, we have a Lync-enabled interface so I can search for contacts that may be in the medical center. They could be specialists outside the medical center that I'm federating with. But what you're seeing here is actually a digital patient lobby. So instead of actually waiting in a physical lobby, you can now join the Lync virtual lobby. And so here Maria has joined this patient lobby. I saw her come in, and basically I'm going to click on her. And we're going to start an audio-video conversation together through this interface. And I'm going to switch back over to the patient interface here so you can see what's going on there. And basically, the physician now from a medical center or hospital, even a world away, can actually see the patient through this application. And it's using Lync audio and video. From this service, I can then start a series of scans remotely controlling or playing DJ with the device in front of the individual patient. So I'm going to switch back over so I can show you what I'm seeing here. And then I'll render it back over again. So basically, I'm going to scroll over to the right. Got a lot of magnification here, but I'll start a new scan. And what I'll do now is actually activate the Connect device. And we're going to start a Connect examination for the patient. Yeah, go ahead. So what's going to happen now is I'm now in the Lync conference. I'm seeing the patient audio video, and I'm also activating a device. In this case, it's the Connect camera. And the Connect camera is going to light up the individual patient in front of the pod. And Avanade is actually a joint venture between Microsoft and Accenture. Accenture hired an actual outside physician group to develop an actual set of tests. And these tests are basically what are being measured against the patient real time in front of the pod. So they're actually measuring themselves up against a best known algorithm. All this information is being tracked, and I can actually see it as the physician real time, again, from my Surface Pro or other device, a world away, activating this Connect device remotely. Thanks, Maria. Appreciate it. So go ahead and hit finish or done. Just click on the done button. There you go. Finish test. Thank you. All right. So now what I'm going to do is actually activate the blood pressure monitor. So I've activated it here from my pod. And basically, the kiosk-based patient, you don't have to actually take your blood pressure. Yeah. Well, what happens is as you're elevated, it'll continue to run, so you really need to be sitting down and take your blood pressure. But basically, what happens now is the patient is now interfacing with the device with some education about the actual physical device to actually perform the test. So the patient can then follow the instructions on the screen. It tells the patient how to activate the device. And then once it's finished and deflated, you have to make sure that this specific device is tied to the USB connection on the kiosk. And then basically import the results. This is my blood pressure from yesterday. 168 is a little high. So I'm going to go ahead and send this over. And the physician is just waiting for these results. So if I switch back over to the physician app, you'll see that the results came in real time from the patient. And just to make sure you guys understand it's not just demoware, I will change it a little bit here and do it real time. Yeah. So you can actually manually type it in as well. Yeah, I'll just put it in here. So I'll just do really bad one. Yeah. 92. I'll send that over. And then switch back over. And it receives the results there. Okay, so with time. All right, so the other thing I wanted to show on the physician app is, switch over? Oh. Here we go. Okay, cool. The other thing I wanted to show is that this physician has access to any Lync or Skype-enabled contact. And now we're using J-Link as well to enable web-based users to communicate with the patients as well, or with the physicians as well. Just to show you an example of that, we've enabled full Lync capability in this app. So if I just search for my contact information, this is actually Avanade's directory. I'm signed into Lync on my phone here, and I'll just send a message over to my mobile client. Here we go. The keyboard. And so now I've received the Lync I am on my mobile from my physician. So I could actually take this on my mobile device as well. And what I'll do here is add video. So now I'm getting a call from the doctor. Answer the call, and then escalate to video. So, even if I'm, hurting on the road, I can basically, communicate with my physician on any device. It could be a web browser, it could be at the pod, etc. So let me get out of this and switch over to this machine and quickly show you the web-based communication. So this is 5. Okay, so what I'm showing here is a web-based interface, so web experience. This is actually a EMR system. They have a website for the EMR that allows the patient to actually check their records and results, etc. What you're seeing here is our click-to-chat service. It's called Avanade Live Chat. This is actually developed using, this is before Lync or UCJA came out or was announced. This is about, actually developed, SmartChat was the originating product back in 2009, originating with JavaScript and jQuery to a back-end UCMA service. So here I've enabled a zero-footprint web browser interface for the patient to click the chat and escalate from instant messaging to video and other modalities, right from the web browser. On this other machine here, which is number, VGA, okay, it's just Lync out of the box, right? So this could be a physician, it could be a contact center agent, really it could be any health professional waiting to receive a chat from the website. So if I go back to the machine here, 5, and basically click to chat here, I'm signed in as my famous patient Maria. And I'm actually signed into the health portal. So it's actually grabbing single sign-on data from the health portal. So I'm going to switch back over to VGA. And my Lync client is basically out of the box. I have no special Lync client rebuilt using the Lync SDK, similar to what I showed you a minute ago. And so what you'll see here is basically an invitation coming in from the Lync client to interact with the individual patient. Let's start that again. I was actually offline. And so the invitation comes in just like any other Lync pop-up toast, and then the individual representative that's responding is going to receive the invitation and engage in a live conversation. So you've seen the pop-up here, and now basically what's happening is I'm receiving the chat via the web client. I can say, hello back. And then switching back over to the web client, you can see the response coming back. And basically now I'm in an interaction between the Lync client and a web user. The web user has absolutely no software to install whatsoever. And that's what we're trying to develop for those types of experiences. No software to install, but still engage in all the Lync modalities that are available. So switching back over to 8, is that right? Yeah, so going back over to my client here, you can see that Lync has been extended now. I can see the details coming in from the patient, including their single sign-on data, information from the EMR system. I could actually click to call directly from Lync to the individual user and use the default modalities of Lync here. And I can actually engage in other types of capabilities here. I have a smart responses type solution here that allows us to click on specific pre-typed messages into the, this is really expanded, into the IM window, and it goes back to the individual patient. Now what I'm going to show you here is actually a video call extension from the web browser. Let me switch back over to 5. Sorry, lots of machines here. So all the while, this individual patient is communicating with a representative, and they're just trying to, solve whatever problem. It might be just checking on their record, their appointment, etc. Maybe they need to see a doctor. So now we're extending this video experience to the web user, actually, through a zero-footprint web browser leveraging web video. We've been working on a solution that's been leveraging ORTC. ORTC is a Microsoft specification for WebRTC. This is actually all going to go away. We're going to be using Lync as the additional capability for this, or future roadmap for this. But again, the capability here is I'm a web user on any machine, any device, being able to communicate with a Lync user all from a zero-footprint web browser. So that's all I have to share with you today. We got a ton of other demos, some contact center cool stuff that we could show you, but I'm a very avid developer, and I'm very thankful to be here with my fellow developers and colleagues. Have some really cool solutions as well. David, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. What we're going to do is our next speaker is Jonathan from Event Builder, but while he's coming up to get himself set up, I'm just going to have Joe come out and answer any questions that you guys have specifically about Avanade and what you've seen in the demo today.
Any questions? Yes, sir. The medical devices? Yeah, so the medical devices themselves are approved through the Health Vault program. So we work with the Health Vault program from Microsoft to use any USB wireless device that can connect into our service. We've written a wrapper on top of the USB service for the individual devices, and then we take their software manuals, basically to educate the user on how to use the device in the conference. And then once we are in a Lync conference, we're using, it's very similar to the Lync conversation window extension. It's not the CWE, but it's contextual data now that I'm sharing between that individual to another data, or another individual. But the data in this case is the information off the device. Yes?
How do you designate who's in the queue for the help desk? So is it just to let the names of the extra for users or whatever?
Yeah, so for the patient lobby here, we have our own routing engine that we've built that basically puts individuals in a queue based on level of severity. So we're actually building kind of like the agent contact center type solution, which we also have, but based on level of severity for the patient. So the escalation model is the patient will actually interface with the nurse first. The nurse will code the patient, and then they'll show up in the virtual lobby that I showed you on the physician side based on level of severity. So the physician can actually choose which patient they want to interface with based on that level of severity.
No, I have a couple. Go ahead.
So in the first part of the demo, the patient was a Lync user?
Yes. Well, no, it's actually a Skype user for the patient, yeah.
Okay.
And then we also have, there's some scenarios where we don't have a Lync account for the individual user, so we create a service account and we instantiate an instance of that object, that contact object. And so that removes the need of licensing, 1 million patients, right? So same thing with the web browser, right? So we don't know who's coming to your website. Even though I'm showing web-based chat and video chat in this patient situation, we also offer that for commercial use. So we have customers that are buying that today or have deployed it today that obviously wouldn't be able to license any unknown number of web visitors, right? So we use a contact object that's enabled with Lync, and then we instantiate an instance of that object and then use that object to start the conference. And then we pass the contextual data from the site, whether it's a contact form or single sign-on, to identify that individual to the representative that's responding via Lync. Yep.
So for the help desk solution where they can go and contact them if they have a question, is it linked to your ticketing system then?
Yes.
Send a ticket and
Well, my ticketing system could be any ticketing system. So we've deployed this for Remedy, System Center, any homegrown type database-driven ticketing application. Could really be anything. We've actually integrated with SAP. This entire solution is being deployed at Microsoft's call centers globally right now. So we're actually extending this out to thousands of agents across Manila, Edinburgh, and Hyderabad as well. So there's a myriad of different solutions that each individual station uses. One uses SAP, one uses Dynamics, one uses homegrown type system or developed by an offshore provider. So it really could be anything. We can integrate with almost any solution, either from an API, which is our preferred method, or from a backend database to insert a record. Case in point, our patient interface here, right? The only way this works is if a patient actually has a record of that visit ever taking place, right? So we have to integrate with an EMR system to make that purposeful. Otherwise, it's just a Lync conference, in a one-off type situation. So what we're doing is actually post-conference, we're using the UCMA API and future UCJA or UC JavaScript API to insert the record into the row of the patient's record to let them know the conference start, conference stop, video recording, and any diagnostics that were taking place. Any other questions? No? Thank you guys very much. I'm going to be speaking next door right after this. So I'm going to grab all this stuff and try and move it out of the way. But thanks a lot. I'll hand it over.
You bet. Well done.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool the ways that organizations and enterprises are going to be able to harness kind of this whole platform going forward. I think it's really going to completely and utterly revolutionize global communication as we know it. I actually don't think that it will ever be the same, and we're totally stoked. So my name's Jonathan Myers. I'm with Event Builder. We're in Portland, Oregon, and we consider ourselves a unified conferencing provider. Yes, everyone's tossing around the whole unify thing these days. I'm sure in a few weeks we'll now be the universal conferencing provider. But nonetheless, we kind of have this vision, and it's that conferencing is broken. So traditionally, in the enterprise, what's the number one complaint from Gallup? Communication, both internal and outside of the enterprise. What's the number one complaint by Net Promoter Scores? It's communication, both internally and externally. I don't know of a single employee that has ever said, my board or my manager communicates so much, like I can't stand it anymore. Would he just stop talking to me and telling me what we're doing? Like, I don't really know any employees or even customers that have felt that way. And so we think that there's communication in the enterprise that's kind of been broken. Now, along those lines, there's also this kind of conferencing paradigm that says if you want to communicate more, you're going to have to pay more. So you got audio conferencing charges that are per minute, whether it's toll or toll-free. And so it's like, hey, guys, we need to cut back on our spending a little bit. So what are they going to say? Collaborate and communicate less? I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. So we have this vision, and this vision is that we would aggregate conferencing platforms. So we would take audio conferencing, video conferencing, web conferencing. We're talking about scale, we're talking about structure, lead generation, that sort of thing. That we would aggregate those onto one platform, that we would integrate them to what we believe is the world-class unified communications platform with Lync, so that the user has one unified experience. So a presenter, whether they want to present to 5 people, 15 people, or 50,000 people, they just use their normal Lync interface, and we harness their standard workflows. So our vision, like our real vision, is integrated and aggregated conferencing platform. So we want to get anyone, anywhere, on any device into Lync-originated meetings. So there we go. So let me show you a couple things real quick. So we started with building a platform, because we've got to have a place where we're going to bring all this stuff together. And when you build a platform, that means you get a record, you get an archive. You now have an asset of your meeting, your collaboration, so you get recordings. People can then go view it on demand. You can collaborate both synchronous and asynchronously. So it's kind of cool in that regard. But let me kind of show you a couple things here. So this is Event Builder's gateway product. And if I just kind of take a look here. So we've done a few things in the last few months. So the president spoke and used our platform. And you can upload content after the fact. So if you want to do trainings or HR. So let's kind of take a look over here. So on this platform, I've got my demo section for Lync Conference Demo. We've got marketing. What's in the marketing section here? Modality Systems, one of our reseller partners. They did a big webinar using our platform. And this is kind of the webinar after the fact. So if you didn't get to make it there, you can go take a look. And let's see here, videos. Let's take a look at this one. So TEDx last year, they used our platform. Let's see how.
Take a journey through some memories with music. I would like to welcome the LA Contemporary Dance Company again, Sonos, and McGill professor Dan Levitan.
And with that, it's like, okay, I want to make it full screen because maybe I've got a little remote audience that's viewing something, whatnot. Anyways, so this is kind of for...
the study of human behavior has...
This is for stuff kind of after the fact. So once you kind of have an asset. Now, let's kind of take a look at how we might build something like this. So since today's whole focus is around workflows and collaboration, let's kind of take a look at what the workflow is. So Outlook, awesome tool. I live in it 90% of the day. I'm always in Outlook. So I can just go in here and I can create myself a little Lync meeting. Let's see here. I'm going to invite our platform, Lync Stream, and let's call this workflow and, let's spell it correctly, workflow and collaboration demo. And so this thing gets fired up right now. This is body text for my registration page. So anyways, you create a Lync meeting, you invite our platform to the system. And it takes a couple of minutes. I'll get an email back here in just a second. But the whole goal was we just kind of wanted to stay inside of the Microsoft environment. So whether that's Lync, whether that's Outlook, we're working on some cool stuff with SharePoint and Yammer and other things. How do we keep people attached into areas? And here we go. So here's what gets sent back to me. So one, I get a confirmation saying this thing, this event, this meeting, this sales call, this CEO all hands, it's been created. And then I get another link that has, here's essentially this guy right here. That is the link that you would push out over Twitter. You'd push it out in your company newsletter. You would put it on your website for doing some lead generation. You might send it out to all your employees for CEO all hands, because that's where they're going to go. So let's go take a look at that real quick. So I'm just a regular attendee, let's say. I'm an employee. I'm going to go work. I'm going to go view this demo real quick. So I need to register. And this is all kind of customizable. You know, you could ask for people's social security numbers, bank accounts, mother's maiden names, whatever you feel necessary. So while that's going, just a second. So this isn't a great example because I don't know that we would ever do this. But I'm going to join the meeting as a presenter from my phone. So bear with me a little bit because this is over cellular. So we'll see how this works out. And actually, let me show you what I'm doing. Which, by the way, if you guys have ever used this Nokia Beamer tool, it's pretty awesome. All right, so in my meetings, let's see here, I've got workflow and collaboration demo. Now normally, your other presenters would be in a Lync session, let's say on any other kind of device. They could be pushing out slides. They could be doing all sorts of things. So this is kind of my attempt to kind of do this. So there you can kind of see what I'm looking at right now. But let's go take a look. Let's see what the attendee might see. So that's the attendee. Now I'm on a cellular line, so there's a little bit of delay and lag. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is like live streaming on the fly. We created this thing in 30 seconds, and you're seeing it live right in front of you, and I'm streaming over Wi-Fi. Now, how cool is that? Now, when we talk about scalability, is it scalable? Can we get 50,000 people on there? Yeah. Now, we really tried to convince the Microsoft folks to let us stream the Lync conference over Lync and our Gateway NL Plus event. Because how cool would it be to be able to embed our viewer into your homepage and be able to do a live stream out over Lync, and people are using the existing workflows that they've always done. Anyways, I think that's pretty cool. What do you guys think? No? Okay. Well, we'll see if we can do something else. All right, I got one other thing as I drop my phone. So earlier, I was talking about that we really are focused on unified conferencing, multiple modalities, trying to bring them together on one platform. So we're going to try something else. And today is kind of the first public, we're telling the world that we've created a little bit of a product. So it's actually in beta, and we got a little look and feel work to do, of course. There's stuff that we want to do. But we've created an audio conferencing, voice conferencing aggregation tool that we're calling Bridge Audio. Now, Bridge Audio is kind of a cool little deal because many people have been a little hesitant to go out and deploy all, 100% of enterprise voice. And, hybrid solutions that exist out there, some of them work great, some of them are kind of tough. But it's all about getting people in over the public switch telephone network, whatever it might be. So part of us building a conferencing platform is we wanted to build something that gave IT managers control. So let's take a look at this real quick. So in Bridge Audio, let me see here. In Bridge Audio, we are focused on getting anyone, anywhere, on any device into Lync-originated voice and audio meetings. So if you've got folks that want to come in over Skype, SIP, VoIP, 1-800 toll-free, local toll numbers, does not matter. We will get anyone and anywhere to come in over any kind of VoIP, SIP, public switch, does not matter. So we'll get them in. Now, you could say, well, that's kind of cool. Some other people kind of do that too. Well, let's take a look here. So we wanted to build a platform that allowed IT people to be able to manage their users. So what's the biggest cost in conferencing right now? It's 1-800 public switched cost. You spend a lot of money, and when IT people get that budget, it's kind of a roller coaster every month. So they really never know how to budget it. So maybe you don't need everyone in your organization to have 1-800. Maybe some people just need local toll numbers, because all of us are paying for cell phones for our employees anyways, so why do I need to incur the extra charge? So we've gone out and we've built local toll numbers that are actually SIP numbers, so they get brought in over SIP, and they don't incur per-minute fees. So what we get now is audio conferencing that's integrated into Lync that has one monthly flat rate cost. And it's all permissions-based. It's ADFS integrated. So now we're looking at, well, do I want to turn toll-free on or off for that user? I can. Do I want to give them call control? Do I want their maximum number of participants to be 10 people or 100 people? And so for people who are on Office 365, Lync Online, even if they're doing this for on-prem deployments, it works. There's no hardware they have to deploy, nothing. They just kind of have to subscribe to our service. So let's see how this works. So same deal. Create an email. And I get sent back this email that looks like this. So it's got the Lync credentials, kind of the metadata that's in there. You get Skype or soft phone information, toll number, toll-free number. And let's all cross our fingers and hope this works. Actually, I think I might have set the time to end at 9 o'clock. Let me go onto the platform here and see if it's on. Oh. Well, let me reschedule it real quick here. Sorry about that, folks. So we'll create a Lync meeting. In this case, I'm going to invite our Bridge Audio platform, workflow test. Fire this thing up at 9 o'clock. Here we go. Now, while I wait for this to send back an email real quick, I just wanted to, we don't make this, we don't get any royalties about this, but I think it's a pretty cool piece of technology that came out a couple of months ago. This is from a company called Inogenie, and they make a USB 3 to HDMI adapter. And so when I was showing you earlier us doing a little live stream over the Lync and L Plus platform, this was a really great way of getting a mixed video feed out HDMI, plug it in, run it straight in over Lync. So you can run professional events that are professionally mixed, ready to go, pipe it in over Lync and onto our platform, and you'll get an archive, and you can live stream to tens of thousands of folks. So anyways, this is a really cool piece. All right, let's try this again. Oh, I got 2 of these meetings fired up. Well, I'm the only one on the call, and I was kind of waiting on somebody from the office to call in. So let me call in from my cell phone real quick. Yeah, if anybody in the audience wants to call in, you know, the number's right there. Well, despite a whole bunch of testing, I'm not able to connect this morning, so I don't know if I'm getting crossed up on my lines or not. So my apologies. I was really hoping to kind of show this one off with a little bit of a bang, but I'm actually on our alpha servers doing testing on this, and my goal was to make sure our developers weren't doing anything on alpha while I was doing our tests this morning, but so my apologies. But anyways, just wanted to wrap up real quick in the sense that Event Builder, we're focused on building unified conferencing tools. And right now we've got L Plus and Gateway, which extend the feature and functionality, structure, and scale of Lync for video and web conferencing. And we're soon to release this new product called Bridge Audio, which will allow IT managers to have control of audio conferencing inside of their organization so that you can get anyone on any device anywhere into an audio conference inside of Lync. So anyways, there we go. And up next, any questions?
Thanks, Jonathan. We're running a little short on time, so what I'm going to do is we're going to leave any questions that you have for Jonathan and about Event Builder until the end of the session, just so we can make sure that we get all demos in today. So I'd just like to welcome Robin from Workstream People.
Yes. Everybody hear me? Yeah. Cool. Okay, good morning, folks. Thank you to my previous presenters. Great stuff that you showed them. My name is Robin van der Breggen. I work with a company in the Netherlands called Workstream People. And we are in the business of contact centers for Microsoft Lync. So we've been in the market for a little bit more than 2 years, and we developed a unified contact center for Microsoft Lync, and on top of that also a reception attendant. We add all kinds of extra functionalities to Microsoft Lync in the business to basically enforce the Lync proposition. And the functionalities that we add are basically in the contact center and the reception attendant, for which we have been both recently Microsoft certified. We add replacement for response groups. So if you have any issues for response groups, they basically solve with our product anywhere 365. We add skill-based routing, and we add CRM integration and a lot of real-time management information. Now we're in the business of what we say dialogue management. So what we try to do is help organizations improve the customer journey of your customer. Well, recently I've been, just for an example, I've been in contact with the tax department, as most of us, for the last couple of weeks to solve a specific issue. Every time when I call them, I get another person. I have to tell my story all over again. I have to repeat my story. Maybe I send an email to another department. So there's no transparency in the whole process of the customer. So what we try to do is actually make sure that when you contact the organization, if it's by email, if it's by Twitter, if it's by chat, if it's by web chat, or just by call, we make sure that you get directed to the right person, with the right department, with the right level of expertise, and access to your specific information. So through that, we actually minimize the unnecessary dialogues within an organization. And how we do that is we do not route the call through the organization, but just make sure that you organize the organization around the call. And within our vision, we say that everybody can be a contact center. So you're not limited by any device or not by locations where you work. Within our approach, that's how we set up the software, is through actually what we call UCCs, a unified contact center. So a unified contact center is a central part of our software. And a UCC can be, for example, a department, a support department, IT department. It can be a role model, for example, reception or boss secretary. It can be inside of your organization or outside. So let's say, for example, you work together with a company in your value chain. They can be part of the call flow and the solution. So what I would like to show you today is a couple of examples how we do that. So I will call I call myself. I'm part of a UCC. And what you will see is then a toast will pop up because I'm part of the UCC and we're in connection. I will show you a chat functionality. I will show you callback functionality. And also what is important for management is that I can see what actually is happening with all the calls. So all the call flows I will actually follow within real-time management information and also show you the productivity of the agents and the people involved. So what you see here is actually a setup page. We use SharePoint for collaboration and setup of the UCC to actually organize all the settings within a UCC. So UCC actually, again, unified contact centers, where you can organize all the settings from agents to endpoints to IVR. All that is managed actually in this specific UCC. If you want to add agents, you just basically add the SIP addresses of the people involved. So we do not use Active Directory within Anywhere 365. You actually use SIP addresses to contact agents. So you add them on base of their SIP address. Then the next step is that you actually organize your skills within your UCC. So you basically say, these agents have this level of expertise in this specific skills. And you add them on top of this. And that comes back in your wallboard later on as well. So in here you can also organize your IVR, your skills, etc. And you can also forward directly to mobile devices. So all the organizing of the settings is done in here. And what I will show you now is just an example of my wallboard. Let's close one of them. So this is a typical wallboard. Let's enlarge the screen a little bit. So what you see on the top is basically the skills. So in this specific UCC, you have the skills of mobile sales and support. You have the number of calls that come in. In the middle, you will see when I start calling some activity, they will recognize numbers. And on the low front, you will see the average number of calls and the number of agents available or busy. Now, after every call, you can also use quality monitoring. So you can ask what you think of the call, and all that quality monitoring for quality management is actually stored in the metadata as well. So we'll just use my mobile phone. I will make a call to my specific UCC. So you see some activity happening here.
Welcome to the Microsoft Lync conference in Las Vegas. This conversation will be recorded for training purposes. Press 1 for mobile.
So I can now choose a skill.
Press 2 for support. Press 3 for sales.
I'll choose 3.
You chose the sales department.
So it's now hunting me.
Please, your call will
I'm
be
recognized
answered
within
by
the system as
a
one of the experts, and I receive a toast
Please stay
to
on
actually
the line.
take the call, because I'm part of this UCC and I have the right level of expertise to take the call. After I finish the call, you basically get a question of how do you rate this service, etc., and it's actually stored within your system. So you can do this for all kinds of departments. And you can call through Skype, you can call through a landline, and of course you can use your Lync as well. So we federate with Skype users as well, and federate outside of your domains. Another functionality I want to show you is actually through our website. Let's see what we have here. Look on another page. So we have a couple of customers in the Netherlands. We do have a specific strategy on who to follow, but what we see is that basically organizations that adapt a Lync by either replacing their PBX systems or looking at specific unified communication solutions, they have more requirements. And when they have more requirements that can be covered by Lync, they basically contact us. So we work with universities, with local governments, with retail outlets. So we have a couple of big retail outlets in the Netherlands who use, for example, this chat functionality. And just imagine that you're a customer and you have the specific chat box through a JavaScript feature on your website. You can get in direct communication with a sales guy on the work floor to discuss a particular product in the market space. How that works, it's also pretty easy. So you start a chat and we'll ask for my name. And I basically receive a toast. And it can be on your mobile as well, or any other mobile device. Click OK, and we're in conversation. So when I finish this chat, you will see that the box will still remain on red. It's wrap-up time. So you can organize the wrap-up time in your UCC as well. You can make it longer or shorter. So we also have email dialogue providers. So we basically do it with call, chat, web chat, and emails. And we also offer a callback functionality. So we'll just put my own number in here. So what will happen if I click on send? I will be called on my mobile. I will receive a toast again through Lync. An integration screen will open where you can see CRM integration, but you can also see my call history, what I did in the past calling this specific company.
press 1 so we are able to connect you to the first
So
available
press 1.
agent. Please stay on the line. Your call will be answered as soon as possible. One moment, please. Your
Receive
call
a
will be
toast.
answered by the next available.
And you can see also this icon. You can see the icon that belongs to this specific UCC. So for example, if you have a role model of boss secretary, normally your secretary will pick up your call. But if, for example, there's an emergency because you're part of a specific emergency department, you know by this icon that you need to pick up this specific conversation. So what you see here is the system recognizes my details from CRM. You can see my previous contacts, what happened in the past, who I've been talking to. You can click on all the specific call flows, and all the data is stored within the system. So you can see all the history of calls that took place between this person and other agents within the organization. And here you see the other agents that this person has been in contact with. Now, if you want to transfer call, if actually transfer it to another department, another UCC, you can actually do that by forward to skill. So that's where you see the collaboration come in place. So companies within your specific domain, departments can collaborate with actually improving the customer journey. The way you store this is actually in SharePoint as well. So through the UCC template, you get access to this reporting information. So you can see that you can have all kinds of standard reports from agents to productivity to specific caller reports. And if, for example, you click on agents, it gives you an error, which normally does not happen. We have to log in again. There you go. So all the metadata of the conversations, the specific conversations, is actually stored in this overview. So you can go from wide to all the calls to specific details from agents, where you can see the productivity, what calls they've made, etc. Let's get all that information from the Netherlands at this moment. So here you can see all the overviews of all the SIP addresses that were part of a specific UCC. So you can see what their workload was during the day. You can click, for example, on a SIP address to see the specific activities of the agents. So all the data of their particular activities are stored in here. This next call overview gives you an overview of all the calls that have been made, and you can follow them from beginning till end. And also the context in which the conversation took place is actually stored in this information. So if one or the other reason a call drops, because you transfer it outside of your domain, you always know what happened and why it happened. So if you look at, for example, a conversation here, see, all the steps are basically followed in this conversation. So you can see really what happened. You contact an organization, you get hunted, you're part of a department, and you hang up, and all the steps are followed. This basically concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Next, we're going to have Anna Catherine and Ben from Lync Software. So I'm actually going to give them a minute to set up here this time, so we can probably take one or two questions for Robin.
Okay, hello everyone. Wow, we had some great presentations already, demos this morning, so sort of a tough act to follow. While Ben is setting up, So my name is Anne-Catherine, that's Ben. While he's setting up, I'll give you a brief overview of actually what we do, who we are. So MindLink is a collaboration app that we built for Lync. We are a UK-based business, but we operate globally. And more specifically, what we do, we offer a persistent chat, a persistent group chat solution for Lync. Now, if you're not quite familiar with persistent chat, it's one of the more structured, critical collaboration tools out there. So you set up chat channels, depending how you're organized, for your different teams, your projects, your clients. You invite your colleagues into that chat group, and you start sharing knowledge. Obviously typing text-based files, links, etc. Everything is recorded. So if you want to have a look what conversation went on last week, last month, it is recorded for future use. So you build up this sort of knowledge repository. Now, for those who already have persistent chat enabled, and I guess maybe quite a couple of you might be asking, so what do we bring to the table? I already have persistent chat. Well, we plug the gaps of persistent chat in Lync. And there's 4 specific things that we really differentiate. The first one is mobility. So we mobilize persistent chat, which is not possible at the moment out of the box. So we all here for a week, we need to have access to our collaboration tools on our iPhone, our BlackBerry, our Android phones, our tablet devices, including MDM support. So that is what we do. We bring persistent chat to Mac and Linux users, obviously Windows as well. The third one is integration. So we think, if you have a collaboration tool and it's standalone, it's sort of missing the point a little bit. You might have some problems with adoption as well. So it's really important that it fits into your workflows and how people work. So we have a couple of connectors. You can connect it to external sources, for instance, social media feeds. You might say, hey, I want to have some RSS feeds into that chat room. Or I want to connect it to a line of business applications. I want to connect it to my dynamic CRM and have some feeds into my client channel, for example. That is what we do, enable with a RESTful API. And also you can embed it into SharePoint, for instance. SharePoint is a one-way communication platform. Why not plug in persistent chat? And all of a sudden, you have a two-way integrated platform experience. And the fourth one is an out-of-the-box compliance. That might not be relevant to all of you, but it depends. If you're in a regulated industry, if you're worried about or concerned about how do I archive PChat messages, that is the fourth sort of gap that we fill. Now, Ben, how's it going? You all right, Bruce? Just about ready? Fantastic. So Ben is actually a lead engineer, but for the next 10 minutes, he'll be a project manager. So we just set up a little scenario. So he's got a couple of projects, and his boss told him, hey, Ben, I have one of the projects. My project lead just left. Take it on and report back tomorrow and let me know what's going on. So he's got 3 challenges. Number 1, he's got very little time. Number 2, the previous project lead left, so he won't have a handover. And number 3, his entire team, well, he has to find out who is in that team, and they're all globally dispersed. Across 3 continents, different time zones. So calling in a meeting, that's not going to be possible. So generally what you would do, probably fire out a couple dozens of emails, clog up people's inboxes, and don't get anything done. So this is how we would do it using persistent chat.
Can everybody hear me? Yes, good. Right, so, my name's Ben. I work on the engineering team at MindLink in London. We're going to use the example that AK just described. So I just thought I'd start off by explaining, exactly what I am going to demo. So I'm going to demo our web-based client, we call MindLink Anywhere, and I'm going to demo some integration tools that we also offer to enable you to use persistent chat more effectively. So it's all going to be in the context of project management via persistent chat. So I think AK sort of explained what persistent chat is. I'm going to assume that everybody is familiar, at least, with the sort of paradigms of persistent chat in Lync 2013 out of the box. So what I would say is all the content, all the messages, all the permissions that you see in our products, that is taken from the Lync 2013 persistent chat core. We are just enabling, first of all, a web-based view on it, and then also adding some tools to pump data in and out and get more value out of the content. Okay, so on to MindLink Anywhere. So we have 2 views for MindLink Anywhere. This is our more modern next-generation streams view. So the navigation is all based on the left-hand side. So my chat rooms are listed here. So if I open them up, I can create sort of column-based view. So I can see more than one chat room at a time, and I can pin chat rooms that I think are very important. So contrast that with our other view, which is what we call the classic view. So this was originally based on Mindalign, which was kind of a precursor to group and persistent chat. It's very similar to IRC and that kind of thing. So typically users pick which view they want to use. If they're familiar with IRC and kind of older persistent chat, they tend to like this view because it's very similar to the experience they're used to. More users that are more new to the paradigm tend to use the streams view. Right. So I mean, we spent a lot of many years helping customers implement persistent chat and use it effectively. So the first thing that we that we think is most important about implementing persistent chat effectively is making sure you have a structured and moderated chat room structure. So you basically look at your organization, you look at how your teams are based, and then you create chat rooms that map to those teams. And you do that with a naming convention. And in this way, everyone is communicating the right type of content to the same stream, and you're basically building a repository of all the information that is based around specific teams and specific departments in your organization. So here is a sample organization. Let's just have a look at how we have set this up. So we have kind of cross-functional project teams. So we have everyone who's working on project A has a chat room. And all of the information and all the updates that are going on about project A are going on inside this chat room. At the same time, we also have chat rooms that are across sort of whole departments and disciplines. There's the management chat room, and then there's the accounting chat room. So anything that's kind of shared to do with accounting goes into this chat room. We also have like a company-wide chat room in which the whole company would sit and updates about the company could be posted. So if I just go down to Lync News, the chat room at the bottom. So in this chat room, we've enabled it as an auditorium. So normal users can't actually post in here. Only privileged users can send messages. So on the right-hand side, you'll see we have the social connector. So the social connector is... Does that mean anything? So the social connector is a Lync product. It comes with a self-service portal, so you can, which I'm not going to demo now, but you can set up mappings between social feeds, so that's any RSS feed or any Twitter content, and then pump that via kind of routing filters into the right chat room. So we've got this set up to pump anything on Twitter that's said about Lync into this chat room. So that's quite good. You get a real-time flow that's in the context of persistent chat. So if you did enable the input box here, then users could add their own conversations around the automated information that's being built in. So that's quite powerful if you take that to a team-based paradigm. So just finally, I will show the world news chat room. So in this, we've got the same idea. The social connector is pumping in information just about world news from various news outlets on Twitter. And in the bottom, we have this is a chat room add-in. So you can get that in Lync 2013 persistent chat out of the box. You can basically associate a web page with a specific chat room. So that's all we've done here, and that works in our web client. So it just so happens that in this web page, we have another application that we wrote as a little sample that is kind of a tag cloud app. So this application is looking at the content of this chat room and creating a tag cloud. So we kind of wrote that in 2008 when tag clouds are really trendy, but it's still cool. Okay, so I've shown you the classic view. If I now switch back to the streams view, let's go on with the scenario AK was talking about earlier. So I'm logged in as John Grand. I am the project manager currently of Project B. And I also work in the sales and support department. So I've added these chat rooms, and I'm following them all the time. So I've just been told that I'm now going to take on Project C. So the first thing I know is that because every project has its own chat room, I need to go off and find that chat room, and there I can see all of the progress that's happened so far on that project. So let's go ahead and do that. So we call them groups in MindLink Anywhere. So I can search for the project name. I can't spell project, which is a great start. Oh, this is not my laptop. There we go. There we go. So there's Project C, so I can go ahead and join that. So now I've got instantly, I can see all of the context of the conversation that's happened so far, so I can quickly sort of get up to speed on what's been going on. So that is really the power of making your chat rooms organized and the power of keeping the persistence there. You're building up a repository of knowledge as to what's happened. So I can scroll through and see the recent things. So if I want to send a message and introduce myself, hi, I'm your new manager. So that's gone off for now. I'm instantly communicating with the whole team in the context of the team, which is very cool. Right, so I will close that again. So I obviously want to see who is in the team, so I can instantly see that by going to the members list. These are the people in the team, and I might want to start one-to-one conversations with them. So this app does one-to-one IM and it does persistent chat. So if you want to, you can disable the IM portion of this and just use it for persistent chat, but I've got it enabled here for both modalities. So I've only got Robert and an AK on my list at the moment. So if I want to add some more people from this, from my team here, I want to add Simeon. So I can double-click on him and open up a column with him. And then over here in the contacts view, I can add him like that. Now he's a contact. So I can, I'm building my team relationships via persistent chat via this tool. Right. So what else do I want to show you? So I talked before about how using chat rooms for team-based collaboration is using the persistence to really build up a whole archive of everything that's happened. So obviously, a very important part of that is being able to search. So you can do that from here as well. So if I want to search specific things that I know have happened in this team, I want to know some context about that, I can do so via this. So if I search for plan, so this is showing me all the messages that were about the project plan for this team. So I can select context from this as well. So if I want to go sort of halfway down and see what was said around that message, I've now got the full context of what was going on a couple of days ago. Right, so just finally in this view, I am going to show you the live stream. So we kind of think it's very important in persistent chat to be able to, especially when you've got lots of chat rooms, lots of content, to be able to see what content is new, be able to consume that content quickly, and especially be able to reply very quickly to that content. So we built the live stream. So the live stream shows you all the latest messages in all of your chat rooms, and through this you can reply immediately to a chat room. So if I click here on the Project C chat room header, I can reply directly from the live stream into the chat room like that. Okay, so I'm now going to switch back to classic view. And just show you some cool features we've got in this. So I talked before about how you really need to structure your chat rooms to match your organization, but no matter kind of how well you do that, each chat room will always end up with different streams of conversation within it. So there's various different topics going on, and that means it's quite hard sometimes to follow the streams within the chat room and also be able to kind of reply to specific messages in the context of that stream. So let's go back into Project C. So we've solved this problem with the hashtags paradigm from Twitter, basically. So if I can actually expand one of these chat rooms here, and it will show me hashtags for the various streams that are going on. So if I click on one of these, it will show me a filtered view of the chat room content just with the messages that match that hashtag. So if I reply now into this project plan stream, that's the original message, isn't it? So if I reply there, it's gone into that stream, and if I go back to the chat room, it's posted it automatically with the project plan hashtag. So people who aren't using this via MindLink Anywhere, who are using it via the Lync 2013 persistent chat UI, this still works. It downgrades nicely to that. You still get the text-based hashtags. Okay, so just finally, I mean, we're really advocating that this is really useful to manage your teams and help your teams collaborate by this way. But companies have been doing this long in the past via other mediums. So one of those is via you might have a distribution list or just CC all for your team. So we kind of been helping people to migrate from email-based team-based collaboration to persistent chat. So one way to do that is via our email connector. So as you can see, it's sitting here in the chat room. And basically, you can add that to the distribution list. As you're migrating, the culture from email to here, any messages that get sent to that distribution list in the old paradigm will get pumped back into this chat room via the email connector, and vice versa. So any messages sent here will get pumped back into the distribution list. So that's a nice way to migrate from kind of email and that type of collaboration into here. So I think AK also touched on the fact we have a RESTful API. So there's unlimited ways of getting contextual data, depending on your team or your project, into this chat room and being able to collaborate around it. So we use that for our CRM system, for example, in the sales chat room. All the new leads go in there, and we can talk about them as they happen. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up there, I think. So this web client works obviously on Mac Safari. So there isn't a solution for Macs for persistent chat. So this is a very good stopover by using a web-based version. We also have a whole mobility piece as well. So for iPad, BlackBerry, and we have the various connectors that I've shown you and the RESTful API. I'll just also pop over to here to show you. You can embed the classic view in SharePoint as well. So if you have a team-based, SharePoint structure, then you can embed the chat room for that team in here, and so it's all contextual with that data as well. Okay, so thanks very much for having us, and that's it really. So cheers.
Because we're just ending this session here, I'm just going to close. And if you have any other questions for Lync, you can ask them after we close here. But in closing, I just want to say thank you to the partners who demoed today. We saw some incredible innovation in healthcare, event conferencing, contact center, and persistent chat. And this is just a small sampling of the innovation that's happening with the Lync platform and the Lync integration solution. So I encourage you to check. Oh, it's going to keep buzzing at me. I encourage you to check out our Apps for Lync sessions that are happening. We have 2 more happening today and another one tomorrow. So if you want to see some more unique Lync solutions, check out those sessions. And thanks again.